if you don't know what's going on with Jonathan Majors, he plays Kang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is also an actor. He was in Creed 3 recently. That was probably the best thing that he's been in. And he was arrested earlier this year on complaints of domestic violence with his, at the time, girlfriend. The charges, there was strangulation charges. Those got dropped, in what he is left with now is misdemeanor, harassment, and assault. And he is going into court on November 29th. That's when they're actually going to be taking this to court. The interesting thing being that the woman who had originally filed this complaint decided she did not want to and said that the police actually pressured her into doing it, right? And then after that, the district attorney in New York City still decided to go forward with the complaint anyway, which I thought was strange, given that in New York City, people just get let out of jail all the time. And he's a celebrity, so you'd think that they would be more than happy to like let this guy off without any complaint. But they're going forward with it, and now they're talking about they're investigating the fact that in London 6 months before this incident, there was other charges that had been filed against him by someone else. None of this is very good timing because Marvel has the Marvels coming out on November 10th. So Marvel's back in the news. I don't know if he's going to appear in that movie, if he's going to be in a post-credit scene or anything like that. But so there's the similar case in London, but now the woman who initially laid the charges against him is looking to be arrested today. Her name is Grace Jabari, and she's supposed to surrender to New York City police today because he filed a counter claim against her saying that she was actually the one who did that. So she's going to be arrested on claims of misdemeanor assault as well. Is this the type of thing for you guys where if you hear about a celebrity and like domestic issues, does this keep you from, like, if you were going to go watch a movie or listen to a musical artist, does this type of thing prevent you from wanting to watch their work or listen to their work?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Exactly.
It's like there's another accusation every other day. So, and in this case, it's weird because she tried to retract it.
Yes.
So it's confusing, but not necessarily. Like, I can tune out to an extent. There are some people who I'm like, I don't really care enough to watch their stuff. Yeah. But for the most part with this stuff, I'm like, I can't take any of it seriously because there's so much of it and you never know the truth. That
was sensibly to my point when I was saying earlier about how when I see all this stuff going on and I see a woman with a tail, or I see this crazy stuff and I'm just like, I don't care anymore. I feel the same way about most of this stuff in media because I'm never going to know 100% for sure that they're innocent or guilty of any of this stuff. And the lack of certainty for things like that just makes my brain turn off. Like I can't look at them as a value judgment on morality towards art. All I can look at them as is somebody who's making something that it's my job to then review or talk about. So there's a business-like transactional relationship there that is probably different from something that you're consuming for the sake of entertainment or joy. Like you might have that's actually really interesting. So you might have a harder time watching a movie with somebody who's done something you think may have been detestable because you're pursuing the viewing of that or the music, or if you're listening to something, you're pursuing that for joy, for pleasure, for entertainment. Whereas a lot of times when we're reviewing these movies, I get a lot of entertainment out of a lot of it, and I do enjoy what I'm doing, but there's a business type aspect to it that makes it easier for me to sort of ignore that, right? Like I talk a lot about the concept of separating art from artists. And I'd like to believe that I'm very, very good at that in this realm. There are a lot of movies that have themes that I don't like, but an actor with awful views on politics or stuff like that, it's not going to stop me from watching their movie or appreciating their work.
If they're not that good in the first place, then I'm cool to let it go. But
what do you mean?
Like if it's something I don't care that much about watching anyway. Yeah. But if it's an actor I really like for example, I don't know exactly what he said, but I said something to Wesley one time and he was like, Sean Penn's like really woke. Yeah. And I was like, I don't care. I love Sean Penn. I love Mystic River. Yes. I love Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I love I Am Sam. I love Sean Penn. I think he's awesome as an actor.
Yeah.
Do I want to listen to a speech about politics from Sean Penn? No.
I can get you into like, I'll get you a copy of his documentary on Zelensky and the pictures of him and Zelensky hanging out. You want that?
Are you gonna try to ruin
Yes.
the movies I like?
Yes. Like it
Can't have nice
doesn't
things.
It doesn't bother me. I was just like, it's
sometimes
like
I don't need to know everything.
Robert De Niro, right? Robert De Niro, super bad Trump derangement syndrome.
Oh no, him too.
Like I'm
Most
still
of
gonna
Hollywood.
watch Heat and love the movie Heat. It's still gonna be my favorite movie of all time. It's not gonna stop me from loving that movie. Same thing with Al Pacino, also kind of nuts.
Keanu Reeves.
Here,
Okay,
I got another
go for it.
example as a counterpoint. R. Kelly. I'm cool with not listening to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Trapped in the Closet wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Like,
if it's an artist you don't want to, yeah. So funny thing about Al Pacino. So there's a thing in the news today where he said they're like Al Pacino's out for because he's in a relationship with a woman named Noor Al-Falah, who's like 29 and he's like 83 or something like that. And they're like he's out to dinner with her, and the picture is her like moving fast in front of him, and he's like kind of trailing behind, just looking even older than normal because it looks like she's walking really far in front of him. It was great. It was great.
Noor is a Persian name.
Yes.
Is she Persian?
She's Persian. But yeah, so there's also like through all of these claims with Jonathan Majors, he also accused the NYPD of racism during this because they said like when they went to his apartment for the call, they like couldn't believe that he lived there because I guess because they said that they thought because he was black.
they thought he broke in.
But now they're saying that now another thing that his lawyers are saying is that the NYPD ignored claims that this woman stole a $7,000 Rolex of his that they reported and then never got addressed. Right. So I don't find these things to be like, because a lot of the discussions that I'm reading about from people in this sphere, they're like, is this, Marvel's problems continue? Now, I could be the exception here because I do it for work where it just doesn't bother me. But I don't buy that the average person cares whether Jonathan Majors has a domestic battery claimed against him. It's not going to prevent the Marvel diehards from going to see a Marvel movie. They're going to go anyways. They're going to eat the slop. They're going to say thank you. It won't stop them. And I don't think it's going to hurt his box office in the future. It might hurt him because like he had several ad campaigns that he was running at that time, all that got pulled because of this stuff. But it's almost like this weird correlation where it's kind of like whenever like the really, really politically correct people complain to one of these companies and they fold instantly, right? They're like, don't do that. Like, and then they immediately apologize, pull the ad, whatever. Like, they still do that, even for the people that they support, right? So all they have to do is wait like a month. And this stuff, like, our attention spans are so short now.
Let things blow over.
Our attention spans are so short. Our memories are so short comparatively because you're just assaulted with new news and information all the time now.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you a lot of the people who didn't know anything about this are like, who's that? And like, didn't something happen? And then they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, and then they won't even know. Was it against him? Was it of him? Like, they won't know.
Was he found guilty?
Yeah.
Was he just accused?
And Marvel seems to have done the best thing for themselves, which was like they didn't fire him. Like he got let go from an ad for the U.S. Army, but Marvel just kind of took the wait and see approach, and it doesn't seem like it's going to hurt him at all.
I feel like you still have to approach it innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, you should.
And when you're firing somebody based on an accusation, you're doing the opposite.
There's a $20 one here from Fresh Meat 999 says haven't been in the loop lately. Went to AZ to Pew Machine DACA. Here's 20 for Brent for actually doing his job in making a crisis party sound effect. Oh, is that my job? Is it?
Yes, Brent.
Brent. Well, it's, they love to call me anything but my name now. It's very sad. I feel very abused by the chat. They're very rude to me.
The abuse, right?
But the abuse is very serious here. But yeah, I did make a new crisis party sound. Look, it's not easy to come up with new stuff. For a while, I was doing a new one every week. For like the first several months of the year, it was like a new one every week. And then my Adobe Premiere presets got messed up. and it got rid of a bunch of my like logged files in my bin stuff, and it just made it very difficult. And then Carter made this really, really great one, so we just left it for a while. But now, they see the joy on my face when the new one comes up, and they super chat because they like the joy.
Yeah,
that's what they like. Yes. I don't know. The stuff like this it's not going to prevent me from seeing a movie or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I would say not at all. I'd like to say maybe like if it's bad enough, then yeah, and they're like for sure found guilty. But if I'm listening to my Spotify shuffle that I've had for years and has thousands of songs, and like 30 Seconds to Mars comes on, I'm not going to skip it.
You know who
Yeah, Jared Leto.
You know who I actually don't listen to though?
Who?
Kanye.
Don't listen to Kanye? See,
Done with that.
I still look, I grew up with Kanye. So there's stuff there. This is the other argument that I make in a lot of stuff is like a lot of it is like, it's like with movies, right? So stuff that I like imprinted on me at a certain time that's reminiscent, it speaks more to me and what my life experience was at that time than it does about that artist. I ruined Scream for her when I told her that Harvey Weinstein produced all those movies.
I forgot about that, Brett.
Because
that's
why'd you have to go and remind me?
And the point being that when I watched that movie,
what else I think he produced Sling Blade.
Yes.
And Sling Blade is out of print. You can't buy it.
Yep.
So I have been scouring.
No,
I've been scouring all these stores. I now have 2 copies, and I'm getting backup copies just in case you really can't ever get it again. But
when I watch Scream,
people like Wesley and I were talking about that potentially becoming an issue, that movies produced by him will be out of print because of that. Although I'm not sure that's the exact issue.
More than likely, I believe what would happen is they would sell the rights to someone else, and then somebody else would re-release it.
Yeah, I guess the rights just haven't been bought again.
So, like for me, like if I listen to Kanye, I don't think of Kanye. I think of what those songs meant to me at the time
what you were doing in 2011.
Yeah, like what those meant to me at that time. And that's why I think it's important to be able to separate art from artists. Now, if it's one of those ones that hits you someplace really, really severe, right there in your heart, and it bothers you, that's fine. But for me, like if I was the idea that you're going to watch any Hollywood movie and imagine that entire cast and crew of people doesn't have one person who did something that you disagree with, you're not going to find that.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
So it's the way it is, but it is an interesting discussion to have because these celebrities are going to have more stuff like this happen. Because like I said, the New York State attorney went after him. I didn't expect them to do that.
Yeah.
I expect them to be like, he's a celebrity, he's big and famous, Marvel is huge. Let's just get rid of it.
I would assume that means they have enough compelling evidence against him.
I guess. I
want to pursue it.
I mean, if
like
they're gonna arrest the girl who accused him, they must have some evidence there too.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of like the what did the guy in the cab driver say? The driver of the car say in the article?
Oh yeah, she's psycho like my ex-wife or something like that. Something along those lines. That's not exactly it, but it's actually.
I wonder if Mr. Majors paid for that. He's like, oh yeah, she's crazy like my ex-wife. It's
his current wife.
His current wife.
Miss Jabari was acting like his wife does when she is angry with him, and he called her psycho girl earlier. So I'm like, oh.
I love it. I'm just
wholesome.
It's just very difficult now in a world as connected as the one we live in now to imagine that you can just consume all art and imagine that only the art you're watching, is made only of people pure of heart.
Yeah, and I think about this like blissful family that's living out in the mountains with a farm, just enjoying life and listening to whatever, like watching Harvey Weinstein movies and listening to Kanye and R. Kelly, and people come up and they're like, "You bigots! Do you know what they did? Do you know what you're listening to?" Like kind of like
they're like,
Monty
"I love
Python.
Remix to Ignition. I'm not giving up Remix
and they're
to
like,
Ignition."
"Dude, get off our land."
Well, yeah, that's the meme, right?
No, there's no way to avoid it, and you got to separate the art from the artist sometimes. But if it's something that you don't care about that much and is only going to make you think about bad stuff, cut it out.
Do it for you.
Then it wasn't that important to then the art wasn't that good for you to begin with.
What I was saying is like, if it's something I really genuinely enjoy enough to be like, whatever, then I'll keep watching it, keep listening to it. But if it's something that I'm like, that's not that important to me anyway, and it's just going to make me think of the stuff I don't want to think about, better without it.
Yep.
And I think it's important to not do it for the virtue signal, but to do it for you.
Do it. Yeah, I do it for me.
Right.
Well, then the difference there is like, then just do it. Don't post about how you're not doing it.
Yeah, I had to come on a podcast today to talk. It came up though.
I am not going to. Yeah. Wait. To me, that's different though, because that's part of the conversation. It's when they're like they go on to social media unprompted and they're like, I am no longer going to be consuming this content.
Right. Like nobody asked you.
It's like I am no longer going to do this. I'm like, bro, nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
Just don't
Irrelevant.
do it. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.